Okay, so here are some problems we went over in class in 4.0, 4.8, excuse me, and I'm just gonna put the answers out quickly. If it still doesn't make sense, this is a very strange section, so just come in for class and or before after school we can go through some of this because there really are multiple answers to these first four, some of these first six. Uh, and yeah, there we go. So number one says right triangle FGH with legs A units long and B units long. Now the easiest thing to do in a right triangle is to make that vertex at the corner. So I'm going to go up A units, I'm going to go over B units, just somewhere out in space. So what that does is it makes my triangle B comma 0, and it makes the vertex here at 0 comma A. And it doesn't say which one the right angle is, so I can just say F, G, H. Okay, so hopefully that's legible to read there. It's kind of just zoom in and actually maybe I'll use pen. That might stand out a little better. I'll draw the triangle in marker and then I'll do the labeling in pen. Okay, now 2 says an isosceles triangle with a base KP 6B units long. Now again, with isosceles, the thing to recognize is if you go like this and then put the vertex for the side that's not, or for the two sides that are congruent, in the middle, it makes a perfect isosceles triangle. So the basin's going to be 6B units long. So that corner is still at 0, 0, but I'm going over 6B units. So 6B comma 0. And this guy here will just be some number, which is halfway in the middle there. So 3B comma A, and that'll make this K, P, and then this will be L up here. Number 3, it says isosceles triangle with base AD and the base is 5A units long. So really I can do the exact same thing here as well. This is going to be A, this is going to be D, and it's going to be 5A units long. So what that means is, and then we'll make this point N up here. What that means is, again, this has to be at point 5A comma 0. This is at 0, 0. And this point here, okay, is going to be 2.5A comma just some unknown number value in there, C or B or something like that. Okay. Number 4, isosceles triangle RST with base RS and 4A units long, or sorry, with RS 4A units long. So again, hopefully you're recognizing the pattern that these are getting to be very, very similar over and over again. So isosceles triangle, okay, RS is the base, 4A is the distance, so I have to go over 4A comma 0. This point here is at 0 comma 0. T is going to end up being that part there, but again, to put it in the middle makes us have a nice isosceles triangle, and that would be then at 2A comma B or comma C or something, just a different letter because it's gone up some. Okay. 5. 5 goes back to number 1. I'm going to make an isosceles right triangle with legs E units long. Now, the easy way to do that is to put this in the corner of the right of that guy there. Let me do this in purple so it stands out. So, like that, where these guys are the congruent sides. What that does for us then, is if these are both E in length, there they'll be the congruent ones. So this point here is at E comma 0. This point is at 0 comma E. And this one's at 0 comma 0. And just label the vertices D, E, F. Because it doesn't say where the right angle is. Excuse me. Number 6. Equilateral triangle EQI with vertex Q at 0 comma root 3b. This is a tricky one. Okay, so here is Q. It's at 0 comma root 3b. What that means is we have to go like this and make all these guys the exact same length. So this has got to be 2b, this has got to be 2b, this has got to be 2b. And what we'll realize, and we'll talk about this in class, is if I make this 2b here, that makes this guy b length here, and this makes his height b root 3, which is what they're saying there. So this needs to be at b comma 0, negative b comma 0 for that point. So that's a tricky one to do. That's a tricky one. Again, like I said, we talked about that in class. If that doesn't make sense, come in. Now, proof. Write a coordinate proof for this statement. Prove that the segments joining the midpoints of the sides of a right triangle form a right triangle. Okay, so I've already actually got a nice little right triangle here. Okay, so what we're saying is here's a right triangle. If I join the midpoints of the sides, yeah, if I join the midpoints of the sides, I'm supposed to get another right triangle there. So what this would be then is this would be the midpoint of all the sides. So this guy here would be at then b over 2, a over 2. This guy here would be at b over 2, comma 0. This guy would be at 0, comma a over 2. Okay, so I got those ordered pairs. So what I need to do is I need to find the slope of two of these guys here between the points 0, comma a over 2, b over 2, comma 0, and b over 2, a over 2. And show that when I do the slopes, sorry, I'm not on the screen, am I? But show when I'm doing the slopes, I get perpendicular slopes. So if I do this same two slopes here, if I do those two slopes first, change in y, so 0 minus a over 2, over change in x, b over 2 minus 0, I get negative a over 2, b over 2. If I double the top and bottom, that gives me negative a over b. Okay, so that's those two slopes were negative a over b. Now, if I do the slope between these two guys, y minus y, will that be a over 2 minus 0 over b over 2 minus b over 2? That gets me a over 2 over 0, which is undefined. Okay, so those guys aren't opposite reciprocals yet because this would be b over a. This is undefined. But if I do this point and do those slopes, I get a minus 2 minus a minus 2, or a over 2 minus a over 2, over b over 2 minus 0. That gives me 0 over b over 2, which is 0. Oh, hey, those guys have perpendicular slopes. So it's undefined. Okay. And then number 10, same style of problem. Same style of problem. Oh shoot, this is longer than I want to go. Okay, so here's the thing. If you really need to know this one, come in for class, because again, the whole point of these is to keep these short and under like 8 minutes or so. So unless it's like big proofs, but this is just kind of supplemental. So if you want to know 10, come in. I'll be more than willing to go over with you before or after class sometime. But really, the big key is kind of labeling out these drawings and making sure you can do that, because that's what pops up on the semester exam. Okay, so yeah, if you got any questions, come in, because this is a weird section. It's kind of hard to do over video. You almost need to see someone do it with you personally.